everybody. Welcome to another edition of State Champs Extra Point and Prediction Podcast. This will be a state finals edition, not a summary. That will just strictly be an extra point, which will be next week, our final show of the year. But we are here to talk about what just took place in the semifinals on Saturday and give you a little preview of what to expect this weekend at Ford Field. Scott Burnstein, Sean Baligian, Matt Mowery, Kevin Trzynski keeping us on the air. Thank you so much for checking it out. I want to thank Lawrence Technological University. Unfortunately, LTU lost to Indiana Wesleyan this past weekend, so their reboot season is over, but again, it means nothing. They are now going to gear up, get ready for NAIA competition next season. Very cool. I've seen a bunch of recruits come through over the past couple of weeks, and so there's a lot of good buzz out there for Lawrence Tech football. So
great story.
Yes.
Just to add, it's a great story, and you know what? They're on the map now. I mean, that's the most important thing. They're on the map. People know that they're there.
They're filling a void that needs to be filled.
Yes.
There needs to be college football in Oakland County.
Yes.
You're, 2 miles from the Detroit city limits.
Yep.
And, it's just going to be a great opportunity to build something really special.
Absolutely. And they have the funding now for their stadium, which will be built. So they got $3.5 million, and so that's going to go up. So that will be up next year.
Good.
For the first season.
And if you're going to Lawrence Tech, now we got the athletic part of the pie.
Yeah.
But the academic part of the pie,
yeah.
I mean, there aren't many schools when it comes to what they do best, engineering, in the whole country can match up with what the kind of education you're going to get at Lawrence Tech.
Exactly.
So it's really, it's a perfect combination of athletics and academics.
Absolutely. So good on them. The MHSA also a sponsor of this podcast. We appreciate them for being a part of this throughout the year, and they will be a part of Hang Time, and they should have a role in our hockey podcast. If they don't already, we'll have to get them on that. But, so thank you to them, and we'll see all of them out at Ford Field. And, again, they do a good job with the website. And, again, they do a good job overall with the tournament, and especially from a football perspective. And the semifinals all went really well. And
the cream is rising.
Yes, it is.
Now we're going to be we're very close. We're within hours of crowning a champion.
We are. Yes.
Or crowning 8 champions.
Yes, we'll get there. Hungry Howie's also, thank you very much, Hungry Howie's for sponsoring everything. Again, doughRaiser.com. It's a great fundraiser. If you have to do any kind of fundraising, school, event, for your team, for anything, please consider DoughRaiser. It is a fantastic program, and it's super simple, and people eat it up. I mean, literally and figuratively. So check it out. And we're not going to have any Mr. Football talk, Anvil Award talk in this podcast. We're strictly here to talk the games and predictions, and I will let you know that this Sunday on our State Champ show, you will find out the Final Four for both. There will be winners announced extremely soon afterwards. And so I'm not going to jinx what I hope works out for the one thing. So that's the deal with that, and we'll have those guys announced this Sunday on the show. Watch State Champs, 9 a.m., Box Sports Detroit. Today we're going to recap, again, state semifinals, predict the finals. We're going to tackle it in the same way we did last week. We'll go with Friday games first, so odd games first, and then the even games. And that's where we'll be, and that's where we're going to go. And this podcast is not going to be as long as the state semifinal. I'm promising you that. So that was lengthy. So, but again, we got like 20,000 views. So great.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And I
people
know
like the product.
I know there are
like
people
providing the product.
Yeah, and there are people who just want to hear about high school football, and so especially if they've got any kind of stake in it. Let's start in Division 8. The 10 a.m. game on Friday will be a 13-0 Breckenridge team taking on a 13-0 Reading team.
Not ready.
It was the one thing we got comments. A ton of people just excoriating us for calling it Reading.
Sorry,
and rightfully so.
I apologize.
You should.
And I did ask first, is it Reading or Reading? And it was anyway. It's Reading, and they're in the state finals. Congratulations. Breckenridge blanked Harbor Beach 12-zip. Since going 0-9 in 2015, Breckenridge is a combined 32-3, including 13-0 this fall. Huskies will next play in their first MHSAA final. They posted their 8th shutout on the field, not counting a forfeit win, and second of the playoffs to stop the Pirates, who finished the season 11-2. I was the only one who was staying on that Pirates bandwagon. You guys all thought Brecken would win, and And they did. I mean, 12-0 in the cold. It's one of those defenses win in these scenarios in a lot of cases, and Breckenridge did what it needed to do.
We've been kind of talking about that Breckenridge defense for a couple of weeks now, about how impressive it is, just that they've been able to not just shut a couple of teams out, but shut a lot of teams out and, go above the bridge and win a very low-scoring game there. It's going to be kind of one of those irresistible force versus immovable object kind of games, because the Reading offense it's just ridiculous. Some of the numbers they're putting up: 5,000 rushing yards through the regional finals with 74 rushing touchdowns. The rushing touchdowns, 74 for Reading. This is, again, through the regional finals. 2 for the opponents.
Yeah.
And 551 yards. So they've got their own immovable object on defense. But, yeah, it's going to be one of those where Breckenridge is going to have to deal with an offense, led by Ethan Lopresto that we've talked about, that's approaching 2,500 yards.
Ethan the locomotive.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. I forgot the nickname. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and conditions will not be a factor.
See, that's exactly what I was thinking. I give Breckenridge all the credit in the world, Matt. I know we talked about it, but it bears repeating. It is not easy to make that long trip and go get a win. If this game was in the elements, I think I would feel a lot better about Breckenridge personally. It bears repeating. Something that you said, for people out there, this is a team that 3 years ago was 0-9.
Yeah, they were off.
That's unbelievable to me. So
it's been an amazing turnaround.
Incredible. It really is.
Breckenridge at one point was a cheerleading school.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. The only thing that they'd had success in a long, long time. And then they had, they've had some basketball teams that have done okay. But yeah, for a long time, that was the only athletic program that had done anything with sustained success. And it's really good to see that football program be able to kind of step out of the shadows.
Absolutely. I'm sure they're going to come large.
I'm putting the onus on the Breckenridge defense to stop that Lopresto freight train and that offense that they've got running for them on a guy named Hunter Smith, the captain of the Breckenridge defense, 6'2", 256 lineman. He can also drop back and play linebacker. He's the heart and soul of that defense. And if Breckenridge gets the job done and puts a stop to what that offense is doing, a big reason is going to be Hunter Smith.
Yeah, and this will be the Rangers' first championship game as well. They beat Holton on Saturday, 38-zip, 7th shutout of the season. They were one of only 3 teams this fall to hold Reading under 40, so that was the one win for Holton. They got 38, but again, for Holton, it was their longest playoff run to date, so getting to the semifinals was big, and they finished 8-4 on the year. We all took Reading in that game. And so now we've got Reading versus Breckenridge. Let's get our predictions right now. Let's get them out there.
Breckenridge finishes what is an incredible turnaround and wins it all. These kids, you think about it. These kids were freshmen, and they were 0-9.
Big donut.
It's crazy.
I hope we get both towns there in force, in the stands. For this one, because obviously it's the day after Thanksgiving, the first game after, but with both teams being there for the first time, both undefeated, man, what a great thing.
Staley to Embright for the game-winning touchdown. Breckenridge wins.
I'm going to go with the hometown of Jim Northrup and Breckenridge.
Oh, listen, nice little
I like
there.
that.
68 Tigers.
All right, Lorne, are you going to do it?
I'm taking Reading. I'm going there.
Which is
just
probably
based on the snafu last week. No, I'm taking Reading. I'm supporting you guys. We'll see. I hope it's an epic game. So often with that D8 game is a blowout, and I hate it. And it's just kind of a drag, and then we get the D2 game, and it's usually great. And so, it makes up for it right away. But let's have a great game, and we'll look forward to it. Good luck to both teams. Again, the 10 a.m. game on Friday. By the way, anything we're talking about here, you'll be able to see on State Champs. All the finals, we'll have those uploaded probably Friday night, the Friday games, by Saturday night, the Saturday games, and, of course, on State Champs. And then we'll probably even have longer versions that will be able to be available on the internet. And all the semifinals. We had all 16 on the show this past weekend. It's quite a feat by John Kidd, and if you want to check them out, you can do that. You can watch them individually on Facebook and Twitter as well. Okay, in Division 2, the 1 o'clock game. 12-1 Muskegon Mona Shores is going to take on 11-2 Warren De La Salle. Mona Shores 49-28 victory over Midland. I did not see that coming this way because you and I both thought Midland might be able to take care of. I don't know.
To be fair, I picked it because it's my alma mater.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. So, anyway.
But I thought they had a chance.
Yeah, the Sailors are heading back to Ford Field for the second time, seeking their first title.
Mm-hmm. Let's also take a hat off to those players and that coaching staff. They lost, what's considered maybe their best college recruit, and Damari Roberson before the season, and again, all due respect to Damari, it didn't seem like it mattered much.
Right.
With the exception of the fact that we've mentioned it a couple of times, it really hasn't been a storyline for them.
Yeah, it was basically and it was they got 22 points in the fourth. That was the difference in this game, and it was who's the receiver? It was Borosma to that receiver. He scored like 3 touchdowns.
Who's
I think
taken Roberson's spot as the number one target.
I apologize, I can't think of his name at this moment.
Sandifer?
Probably. Yeah, you called those highlights. You remember?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll look at it. Bottom line is good for Mona Shores, and here they are once again. They're only lost to Muskegon this season. So Warren De La Salle really took care of Birmingham Groves, 28-0.
Just a punishing defense.
They're playing for their 3rd title in 5 seasons. Amazing what they've done over there. It was Groves' first shutout since 2013.
57 games.
57 games. And they got some points early, and then they kind of pulled away in the second.
To say that they're stout, they're stingy, they're all the superlatives are an understatement. This is a group that's kind of continuing from the state championship run last year, and they just keep on putting that product on the field, which is lights out defensive football. And so when you play defense, again, it's a cliche, but defense wins in the playoffs.
What was going through your mind picking Groves to win this game?
Well, I'll tell you, I was worried about whether or not Nolan Schultz was going to be playing for De La Salle, and if they had to have DeBerry in at quarterback as a Wildcat for the whole game, I thought that played into what Groves could do on defense, but obviously it was a misguided choice, and I'm not gonna. I'm gonna have a hard time. I'll be hard pressed to pick against De La Salle this week.
Scott, that's kind of my logic this week. Is how much is that offense going to be able to generate against Mona Shores? Mona Shores has given up some points, but they also have a much better offense. And I'll be the first guy to say it. And Matt, we were talking about this earlier. To any coach out there that feels disrespected, we aren't saying enough about the Pilot defense. I mean, we aren't. I mean, they are. I've had the fortune to do in two of their games this year. They shut out Rice, and they shut out a pretty darn good Groves team, and they just they smother you. They just and then when you try to open it up, then you get a pick six going the other way. That's the kind of stuff it takes your soul and throws it into a different atmosphere.
And they're getting it on the line. They're getting it from the linebackers. They're getting it from the secondary. Obviously, Josh DeBerry. I really like Ricky Pearson back there. Nolan Schultz, switches from quarterback to the safety spot on defense. Devin Campbell is just a stud sideline to sideline as an offensive linebacker, as an outside linebacker, and then Mike McGinnity up front.
And they have 2 losses, one to Muskegon, so that they both share that sorrow with Mona Shores, and then one to CC. But they did get the revenge for that one by winning the Prep Bowl.
Well, the De La Salle defense through 12 games, people have tried to run on them, but they've given up less than 1,000 yards through the regional finals, 2.8 yards per carry.
Right.
That's good on any level.
And that's an average, right?
Yep,
I mean, again, and they went up against Cam Martinez.
Yeah.
So
Devin Campbell plays that outside linebacker, but that middle linebacker, Jake Dobbs, has been battling injury this year, but still, the output from him is still excellent. He's going to Holy Cross. This is a kid that really lays it all out there on the line and is one of the leaders of that defense.
Couldn't agree with you more. You could tell he was a heart and soul guy. He made a big reception as a tight end down near the goal line that led to a touchdown. And then, as I mentioned, coming back the other way, Groves has no choice but to open it up, and he gets a pick six. Steps right in front of intended receiver and gets a pick six. So it was, and then you could tell the boys were all about him. They were chasing him down the sideline and everything. So they're loaded. They are loaded, and it's going to be this one. Might be the most intriguing of the games to me. And I know that's a big statement, but this one might be the most intriguing of all the games to me.
I got De La Salle.
I'm going to go with the Sailors. And I know I'm going to regret it, but I just think a little too much offense. a little bit too much offense. And I question, much like your logic last week, if the Pilots have enough offense to keep up with Mona Shores.
My goodness, Mowery.
I'm sorry. Dying.
Would you like a water?
Sorry.
We can get you one.
Do you want me to go get you water?
No.
All right.
I'm good.
Mike Giannoni and the repeat. This has been a special 2-year run for the De La Salle Pilots, and I don't think anyone saw this coming at the start of 2017.
They will be ready.
Yeah.
They will be ready. Their game plan is in place, and they're going to be ready, and they will use whatever tools they have in their tool chest to get it done.
I mean, this wasn't the Shane Morris group. This wasn't the Joey Garbarino group, where there was kind of expectations. We can talk about it with at D1 too when we're talking about Clarkson. Yeah. Just programs that are kind of the blue blood programs that were maybe overlooked in the current landscape, that are showing why they're blue blood programs, because all they do is, my little DJ Khaled, all they do is win, 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 win.
That's right.
Am I alone here, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go De La Salle.
All right.
All right, so there it is. That will be the 1 o'clock. The 4:30 game in Division 6 is Montague, 11-2 on the year, taking on a perfect 12-0 Jackson Lumen Christi. Montague they haven't been to the finals since 2009. This team was their best team since then. This might be their best team. If you want to even take those two to go together.
And on behalf of everybody, we apologize. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, none of us gave him a chance.
No.
Against Traverse City, right?
No.
Yeah?
Yeah, no. We all took
St. Francis.
Traverse City, St. Francis. They hand them their only defeat of the year, and they've been held to single-digit scoring only one other game over the last 5 seasons in last year's semifinal. So Montague, 14-7 winners. Jackson Lumen Christi game I shot was at Novi High. They beat Montrose 42-20. Again, I love the way that they're so methodical in how they approach football, and the kids are Iron Men, and Herb Brogan has those guys going. They did a really good job just controlling the ball, making plays. They'll do a lot of things where he literally will wait till the last second. He'll go in the huddle, they'll come and they'll hike the ball, all within about 3 seconds.
I call them the Henry Ford model, where it's just assembly line efficiency.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And it was funny. We had a shootout early. Montrose first possession had a 90-yard touchdown run, and so you thought, and then it went back and forth, which was really kind of exciting, kind of like the Monday Night Football game. And then Jackson Lumen Christi just basically the second half just completely dominated. They get stronger as the game wears on.
And that's the type of football that Herb Brogan coaches.
Yes, and he said after the game,
coaches endurance and the ability to execute in the third and fourth quarter and to finish.
And Kari Willis's brother caught a touchdown. It was a halfback option. He went out there and I'm assuming it's his brother. I mean, it could be his cousin, but I'm assuming it's his brother. It's another Willis, and he's wearing number 7. They look good, and they do have a mixed bag. They've got a little bag of tricks that they can do that. So now it is Montague, another M, versus Lumen Christi. Who we liking?
I thought the very interesting thing was when we were at Ford Field for the Catholic League Finals, there were a lot of Montague fans that jumped on following me on Twitter just to get updates, because they were concerned about, if Riverview Richard made the playoffs, it would kind of shake things up. And I guess, looking back at that 4 or 5 weeks later, when you're playing like they're playing right now, it doesn't matter who's in your division.
Right.
You're going to run into somebody like Lumen Christi eventually.
Of course.
But they ran into somebody like Lumen Christi last week and took care of business too. So they've done is impressive so far. Having said that, I still think Lumen Christi's probably going to win this one.
Ditto.
Lumen Christi.
Yep. Me too. All right, so
we may be apologizing to the community a couple weeks in a row, perhaps.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's why they play the game.
Prove us wrong, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll be the first one to give you props for proving us wrong.
And again, I just want great games.
Yeah,
I want two finals to go out there, leave it on the field, and just keep your head held high and know that you played your hearts out. And So.
And there's no shame, once you reach Ford Field,
yes.
there's no shame, win, lose, or draw. Lose by 40, win by 40. The memory of punching that ticket to the state finals will live forever.
Absolutely. So let's go to Division 4, the nightcap, the 7:30 game, the Friday night game. Edwardsburg, 13-0, will be taking on 10-3 Chelsea. Edwardsburg needed overtime to beat Grand Rapids Catholic Central. They did, 46-44. This was the rematch of the 2017 Division 4 state final. Eddie scored first in overtime, went up 8, stopped GRCC on a 2-point conversion try after the Cougars found the end zone. We see that a lot where teams decide to just go for 2. Yep, exactly. And I was the only one who took Edwardsburg in that particular
There's something to be
game.
said about being by yourself. There just is.
Yep, and the Eddies did that. Now on the other side, Chelsea took on Williamston, and Chelsea won pretty handily, 38-13. They are 10-3. This will be their second MHSAA finals in 4 years after knocking off a league champion for the second time this playoffs, which is impressive. They held Williamston to a season low scoring while putting up the most points the Hornets had given up this fall. So Chelsea came to play. Both Scott and I believe that would have been the case. You both took Williamston. And so I got to give, and I'll say this right off the bat, we want to give a lot of credit to Chelsea.
And
Josh
Lucas stepping in for Coach Bush and not missing a beat and kind of coming into the playoffs at the kind of at 6-3, pulled the upset against Grosile, I believe.
Sure did.
Then came in and ruined the Harrison farewell party.
Sure,
and then took care of business in the semis. And
this has been one of the better coaching jobs. I mean, there are teams who, where you're kind of piloting a ship that you know exactly where it's going to go, and those are good coaching jobs too.
Yeah.
But for them to come from, out of nowhere, basically, and have a shot to win a state title, that's exceptional.
We said it last week. It's a credit to the division.
Sure.
The division's better.
Yep.
That's Southeastern.
It's a good athletic program out there now, too, with Chelsea. I mean, they got a lot of good things going on.
Everyone's heard of the X Factor. I like the Q Factor for the Bulldogs. Quinn Starkey, their quarterback that was just, all that in a bag of chips against Harrison. I didn't see his stat line last week, but he was the reason that they won that Harrison game and rallied in the fourth quarter. He put the team on his back.
Well, it's sort of an oddity when you see a team get this far in the playoffs and they've actually been outrushed on the season, and Chelsea has been by a pretty significant margin, 300 yards through the regional finals, but they've got nearly twice the passing yards that their opponents do, because Starkey has been, he's got more than 2,000 yards, 22 touchdowns. His receiver, I'm sure, 100 F, 63 receptions.
100 F plays
finals.
both ways. He's tough as nails as a linebacker, too.
Yeah. He's got 1,000 yards receiving and 15 touchdowns through the regional finals, so that's part of it.
They're going to need all of it.
But yeah, if you've already been outrushed and you're going up against a team like Edwardsburg has 4,000 rushing yards, and they're holding their opponents to 500 through the regional finals and 5 rushing touchdowns.
Right. Now, granted, Catholic Central put up 44, but that's a really good team.
Yeah.
It's a really good team that they played. And Edwardsburg still put up 46.
Yep.
I just can't. I think it's a good game. I just can't see Chelsea in the end staying with Edwardsburg.
I agree, Edwardsburg.
And it will be a wear down effect. What do you think, Scott?
I'm going with the Starkey to Neff Express.
Stick with Chelsea.
Bulldogs to get this dub.
Okay,
right.
well,
picking the upset.
That would be impressive.
Yeah.
That would be very impressive.
Indeed.
And we'll see. Good luck to both teams. All right, we're going to take our only commercial break of the season or of this podcast right now. Then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the Saturday games, and we'll relive last Saturday, and then talk about the Saturday matchups. And that is all for this week's podcast. So stick with us. We got another half of the show to go, and you are watching State Champs Extra Point and Prediction Podcast. We'll be right back.
My passion is architecture. I don't want to sit around passively studying. I need to create. In our architecture studios at Lorne's Tech, we collaborate with students, faculty, and professionals from around the world. And from day one, we design using the same industry standard software that architecture firms use. I really feel like I'm designing my own future here. Lorne's Tech. Possible is everything.
Today we'd like to tell you about the MHSA Scholar Athlete Award presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. For nearly 30 years, the Scholar Athlete Award has honored some of the state's top student athletes with $1,000 college scholarships. And over that time, Farm Bureau Insurance has presented over $700,000 in scholarships. To qualify, one must be a senior graduating this year from an MHSA member school and have won at least one varsity letter in an MHSA tournament sport. Applicants must also be carrying a 3.5 grade point average in the classroom. Entries are judged on a sportsmanship essay, involvement in extracurricular activities, some short answer questions, and letters of recommendation. Students must submit their applications by November 30th, and all scholarship recipients are honored in March at the MHSAA Boys Basketball Finals. If you want to learn more about the Scholar Athlete Award, visit the MHSAA website.
You ready, Darius?
Let's do it. Anybody want an autograph?
Autograph? We're here for the stuffed crust pizza.
Stuffed crust pizza? Hey, what do you think you are? End of the line, pal.
Flavor fanatics love stuffing their faces with our stuffed flavored crust. Get one for only $2 more on any large original round pizza.
Hungry? Howie's!
All right, everybody, welcome back to the second half of the State Champs Michigan High School Football Extra Point and Prediction Podcast. It is Scott Burnstein, Sean Baligian, Matt Mowery. We have just discussed all the odd division games, and he's got his water now, so he's good to go. We are now going to talk about the we've done all the even games. Now we're going to talk about the odd games, and we're taking it in the order that they will be played in the finals. We're recapping the semis and talking about the matchups taking place this weekend at Ford Field. Saturday, November 24th, we'll begin with Division 7. This will be the morning game. New Lothrop, maybe the best game of the day.
Yeah.
Might
Great
be the
game.
first game.
Great
We'll see.
game.
New Lothrop is 12-1. Madison Heights Madison is undefeated. New Lothrop put up 51 on Lake City and beat them 51-22. It's the first time since 2006 that New Lothrop has been to the finals, which, for a program that's so good, you would think it would have been quicker. But they've always faced good teams in the playoffs, and they scored 30 points during the first half in this semifinal. And Lake City actually cut the lead to 8 in the second, but then New Lothrop finished the deal. And this is the second straight year that Lake City is their only loss of the year in the semifinals.
Isn't that, and you know what? Give them credit, though, because they're a school that's been knocking, and all they have to do is kick that door in. Yeah. It's going to happen sooner or later. When you make trips like this, you're doing something right.
Yeah, so and it pays forward. I mean,
it does. Yeah, absolutely.
You reap the benefits of that as you go on.
And we had a really good game against Cassopolis, and I didn't think we would see that so much with Madison Heights Madison. They had to hang on. They win 37-34. It will be their first final
since
05. I think it's
05 or 06.
Yeah. Cassopolis was trying to get to their first 06.
Yeah,
06. It was D5, I think, back then.
DeAndre Johnson and Ryan Colati.
Yes, exactly.
Ryan Colati was the coach. DeAndre Johnson was their best player.
Yep. The Rangers trailed by 1 at halftime and 2 at the end of the third, but just couldn't catch fully Madison. Cassopolis had given up only 52 points this season. Total heading into the game. Madison hadn't allowed more than 20 to any opponent.
Expected Cassopolis to give them a game. I didn't necessarily expect them to put up 34 points on that Madison defense.
Right.
But to throw out an old Sports Center-ism, you're not going to stop Austin Brown. You're only going to be able to contain him, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to contain him. If you're not, he's going to go bonkers. He's going to go bananas. He's one of the most prolific quarterbacks that we've seen in at least in Metro Detroit for the last decade or so. I mean, the kind of numbers that he puts up since his freshman year, and then. Again, the DJ Khaled reference. All he does is win. Yeah. The guy's got 46 wins in a high school career. That's nuts when you think about over a 4-year career.
Right. Do they have enough juice in the tank to beat New Lothrop is the question.
My favorite stat from this game is 19. going into last week, that was the number of times the two teams had punted combined all season long.
Yeah,
these are the kind. I mean, you get to this point in the season, you're generally an offense that has had its way most of the season, and neither of these teams have had to do that a whole lot. Right. But it's kind of interesting to me that New Lothrop's been playing ahead of most of the teams. They've still only given up 800 yards passing through last week or before last week. It's not a lot. You'd think that teams are trying to catch up with them, but that's an offense that's put up a lot of points this year. 525.
I'm guessing we're going to have a high-scoring game.
I would much like we were talking about with the Pilots too. I'm not sure if we were talking enough about what Madison was doing defensively, because it begins with Austin Brown. Make no mistake about it. And you know what? It goes to show you that maybe if they don't have that defensive effort there, Austin Brown is capable of doing it. And as you pointed out, with his arm and his feet now. I mean, that's gone next level this year, and that's what makes me say I'm not going against that kid.
There are a couple of quarterbacks in this game that are going to be doing the same thing, because Avery Moore from New Lothrop, 1,300 yards roughly before last week, 20 touchdowns through the air, 20 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, that's kind of that same,
Who would you say has played the tougher schedule?
Probably Madison, because Madison they played Farmington, they played a couple of other higher division schools, not necessarily their conference. I mean, their conferences are pretty compatible, but then, at the end of the season, New Lothrop played St. Francis as kind of a warm-up to the playoffs, so...
And lost.
And lost. and I would say it's probably a slight edge to Madison, but not a tremendous edge, because I think New Lothrop's played a pretty good schedule.
Yeah, and again, all things will be equal inside the temperate Ford Field.
The difference makers for this game for Madison that they're going to win is going to be that cold-blooded linebacking core that doesn't get enough pub, doesn't get enough love, because everyone's talking about Austin Braun, and rightfully so.
Yep.
But Adam Long, Aaron McClure, and Chauncey Ernest, you could put that linebacking core up against, any linebacking core, in my opinion, Division I to Division VIII. I mean, that's how good those linebackers are. And then who I think is going to have to carry a big load in this game is Kyron Franklin, their tailback, who was like a second or third stringer last year, has stepped into the starting role, has been a real difference maker. And I think that if Madison's going to come out victorious, obviously, what you're going to get from Austin Brown, but you're going to need those linebackers to contain the Cassopolis offense, and you're going to need Kyron Franklin to really carry the load on offense. I think if Kyron Franklin gets over 100 yards rushing, Madison wins.
So you're picking Madison?
I'm picking Madison.
Who you got?
I'm going to New Lothrop.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Mm-hmm. It's not surprising.
Right, I'm looking at you now.
Yeah. Are you looking at me?
Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm going Madison.
You're looking
I'm going
at me.
Madison.
I'm going to pick Madison.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Madison.
And Austin Brown's going to end his career hoisting a title, hoisting a trophy, and really cementing himself in the historical annals of MHSAA football. And this is another kid that you got to give credit to, because when you come in with as much hype as he came into high school, one of these kids that you're talking about in 8th grade, and those are big expectations.
Yeah.
And it's not everyone that can step up to the mic and fulfill those expectations. And I think come this weekend, he's going to do a big mic drop at the end and be like, Eagles champions. Enough said. Out. I'll see you in Huntington, West Virginia next year, playing football and baseball for the Marshall Thundering Herd.
There you go.
Great
all right.
There.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we said that could be the best game of the day. What also could be the best game of the day is the 1:00 game, which is Clarkson and Chippewa Valley.
To me, that's the game that I'm just licking my chops for. I'm just kind of rubbing my hands together. Can't wait to see.
I think
the best in Oakland County go up against the best in Macomb County.
Two heavyweights.
Kurt Richardson been on the sidelines for Clarkson for 30+ years. Mike Giannone, one of the best coaches Macomb County's ever seen on the gridiron.
You mean Scott Merchant?
I'm sorry, did I say Mike Giannone?
Yes, he'll be there too.
I meant
he used he will. He used to be Clinton Township. He used to be Clinton Township.
And then Scotty Merchant, from that that rich lineage that he comes from, the Brother Rice, learning from Al Fracassa, playing for Al Fracassa,
Coach Jesuit,
coaching Jesuit to a couple back-to-back district titles back in the 2000s.
I think they made the semis even one year.
I just think when you get a young gun like Scott Merchant, and I mean not that young, younger than KR, you're going to have these two tacticians going head to head. You got the Tommy Schuster led offense of the Big Red. You got Marcel Lewis on defense. You move over to Clarkston.
And offense.
And offense. You move over to Clarkston, and just a group that plays methodical football, plays smart football, plays football without any turnovers.
Right.
And Kurt Richardson said after the game against in the semifinals against Saline.
Yes, Saline. Yep.
Sorry, down at Okemos, he said
Saline is what you put in your eyes.
Sorry, Saline. People kind of ask him what's been the magic potion for this year. This is a team that just like last year, no one expected to be here. Whole new cast of characters. They're here again, and he said, we don't turn the ball over. And that and our defense. Lays the groundwork for us to be going to the fourth field for the fourth time in 6 years.
16 points total over 4 playoff games is all that Clarkston is giving.
Clarkston has graduated, in my mind, into that territory, and I hate to switch to hockey, but Brighton hockey. Yeah, it doesn't matter what they look like during the season.
Right.
They're going to be there. You set your watch to it that Brighton's going to be there. You got to feel that way about Clarkston right now. You have to feel that way about Clarkston.
Dare I use the term dynasty? No. I mean, we're talking about what could be a Clarkston dynasty.
That's the craziest part.
We're talking about the fourth time they've been to Ford Field in 6 years. Could be a fourth title in 6 years. And you got a really good class of 2021, a really good sophomore class coming up.
Crazy.
And your basketball team killed everybody the season before.
And you're
amazing.
Again, another aside here, but on the basketball front of it, you're going to have another situation where you're replacing an entire roster, and you're basically replacing an entire playing rotation. And I still expect this Clarkston basketball team to be, competing for a trip to Breslin. And again, it kind of speaks to the kind of athletic program that Clarkston has, with just being a juggernaut in both sports.
And both Matt and I took Saline. I was thinking that maybe it was a magic season, but again, it's one of those things. You bet against Clarkston, they're going to bite you, and they did it again.
It really wasn't that close of a game.
No,
I was there.
Yeah, no. And Chippewa Valley took on Belleville. These were two Titans going at it in the semifinals. Chip Valley wins 28-16. First time since 2001 that Chippewa Valley has been in the finals. And Belleville's only loss of the year. Chip held Belleville to its second fewest points in a game over the last 2 seasons. So
tip of the cap to Belleville.
Defensively, yes, absolutely.
I want to say that
they're still climbing.
They're another one. They're knocking on the door. They went through a door. It's a great atmosphere by the lake down there. They're not done. They're not done.
I was looking at them.
We all took Chip Valley to win that game because we felt they're still climbing.
I was thinking that this is the year that sets the foundation, that propels them to what I expect to be a state championship year in 2019.
It's a great point. It's the foundation. It's been laid, and now that
they've been laying for the last couple years, and then
they needed to go. They needed to go upstairs, and they did. They started working on the upstairs.
Yeah. So. Again, Chip Valley.
The concrete has been poured.
It's exactly. You look over the whole season. Chip Valley's played as good as anyone.
Best team
outside of Muskegon. If we're going to go pound for pound, I'd put Chip Valley right there
in this division, and that's why this one stings, because here I was saying you can't go against Clarkston, and I going against Clarkston. Chip Valley has been the best team all year, and I'm sorry, I think that says for something. That speaks for something.
Absolutely.
And another team that had a lot of expectations coming into this year. A lot of people expected this from them, but there's a big difference in people expecting something from you and then you going out there and emphatically getting it done.
Emphatically. Every week. A couple scares here and there, but other
and these
than
are great kids. From talking to coach, from talking to the coaching staff, and talking to some of the parents around the program. This is a group that has been together since they were, playing, juniors in elementary school, middle school football, and this is a group that people had a lot of faith in at a very early age. And these guys have all blossomed into not just great athletes, but great young men, guys that represent the Big Red football program with a lot of pride.
So when you look at them on the field, these are almost two mirror image teams because, like we talked about, neither team turns the ball over very much. They force the other team to turn the ball over. They have a lot of offensive balance, whether it's the Big Reds with Andre Chenault and Myron Harris and Javon Kimpson, or
running the football.
Running the football, or Tommy Schuster, who's only been through regional finals and only been picked off one time.
Yep.
You guys got 75 touchdowns over 3 years. I mean,
And then on the other side, is it going to be Jake Billette? Is it going to be Jacob Honstetter? Is it going to be Jake Jensen? All kinds of weapons. I think the difference, the one thing that Chip Valley has that Clarkston seemingly does not, is there's a David Ellis factor. That one of the times that you kick it to him, you're going to be looking at him. He's going to be looking at you in the rearview mirror as you're chasing him down the field.
At Ford Field,
because he's going to make one of those big plays. He may be quiet for 3 quarters, but then he makes that big play, and you can't
let him get behind you on the offensive side of the football either. You're talking about special teams, and there's no question that he touches. The second he touches the rock, he could be gone to the house. But also, in traditional offensive formations, he's when you're talking about deep threats, he's right up there with the best in the state.
And I'll tell you what, I bet Clarkson kicks right to him too.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean,
with Mattson though, they have the ability to put it in the end zone.
Right.
So I think probably that's what they'll do more often.
They'll
than
try.
not,
Right.
I mean,
outside of the sophomore Rocco Spindler,
leg,
and Garrett Dellinger, the sophomore lineman that's hurt right now. The highest rated prospect on Clarkston's football team is their kicker, Tristan Mattson, who's going to Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's what's frightening. It bears repeating. I mean, Clarkston, forget about what they've done already. Not to dismiss it, but it's what they might do yet. I mean, it's incredible how young they are.
And let me also make a comment about Jake Jensen, their senior quarterback that I think easily could have started last year. They went with the senior Ubali. Jensen took over this year as a senior, and just a kid that manages the game with such moxie and such ability to execute. Whatever they're asking him to do, he's doing. They're not asking him to throw for 250 yards. They're asking him to throw for 120 yards and get the tough first downs with his legs and make sure you don't turn the football over and be a leader in the huddle and kind of win games with a gridiron IQ and a level of
take what's given.
At a level of senior leadership and for a kid that is his first year starting, he plays like a second or third year starter and the command he has in the pocket, the composure he shows, is like a kid that's been playing for 3 years.
Sean's picking Chip Valley. Who you got?
I am.
Put Chip Valley
on the table.
It's tough betting against Clarkston.
I want
Clarkston is going to score more than 3 points.
I want to pick Clarkston.
They did last year.
I want to pick Clarkston so bad, and I can't go against this Chip Valley team. This is a team of destiny. I hope for Clarkston's sake, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Clarkston can go on there and get that 4th title in 6 years. I just think Chip Valley right now is a machine, and they're going to go out there and write their name in the history books as one of the best teams to come out of Macomb County.
Well, I think
I agree wholeheartedly.
The preseason top 10, one of the things that I factored in with Clarkston was the past, and quite honestly, when I put them in the top 10, the team that it bumped out, because you had Muskegon, you had King, you had Cass, you had, Belleville that's King, loaded. Yeah. The team that they bumped out kind of to an 11 spot was Chip Valley. Yeah. And these are the 2 teams that are playing for the title right now. Yeah. So kind of ironic in that sense.
It is, and it's the 2 best Division I teams, I would say, are meeting. And so they're going to get on the field, and they're going to clash helmets, and we're going to see who comes out. I'm picking Chip Valley too. If Clarkston wins, though, man, you talk about like you said,
seriously.
All of a sudden you're like, dude, this is
this
is next level.
But they're the opposite of what I was talking about expectations.
I know.
Chip Valley had all the expectations. Right. Nobody was talking about Clarkston last year. No one was talking about him this year,
except they were talking about themselves. You know what I mean? That belief system is so strong.
I was like, well, who are the playmakers?
Yeah,
I said that last year at mid-season.
I know.
With a caveat though, because KR is one of those guys who's very good at
Yes.
I don't know. We don't have very many kids this year. I don't know how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So he's a master at that.
Of course.
And then all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh, you're in the finals now.
Him and his staff are just tireless in their preparation, and that pays dividends.
Absolutely. So great afternoon game on Saturday. Even though Michigan and Ohio State are going on at the same time, you are definitely going to want to watch.
I think Richardson took over the program in '85.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Speaking of Division 5, 4:30 game. Thank you. Hudsonville Unity Christian, 11-2 on the year. Who picked them?
That's your boy right there.
Are taking on a Portland team that is undefeated this season. Unity Christian beats Saginaw Swan Valley 14-7.
I was surprised.
It was a stunner, but Unity again has been one of these teams of magic, whatever you want to call it. They had their most impressive defensive effort of the entire fall. For the state semifinals, they held a Viking offense that was averaging 42 points a game to only a first-half score.
That was their only loss, right?
Yep.
Yes, correct.
Valley's only loss.
Yes,
That was
absolutely.
their first loss since the semis last year.
That's incredible.
Yep, and this is their first finals berth for Hudsonville Unity Christian, and it's a program record for wins now with the 11.
Props.
Well, this was a theme last week when we were talking about third-place team
Yes.
in the conference, and
Yes.
this was a third-place team in
Yep.
their conference behind Zeeland East and Zeeland West. They lost to both those teams, but obviously those are both D3 teams, and this is a D5 team. So when you play a schedule like that and you get kind of that, that experience of playing tough teams that are playoff bound in those higher divisions, that pays dividends. This could be one of those games that's over in like 27 minutes, though. Neither of these teams even
think about passing the football.
They don't think about it. They just don't care. That's not. Unity Christian had through regional finals 23 completions on the season for 555 yards. Their leading receiver had 6 catches.
Right.
And Portland's had 17 catches.
They have an identity. They embrace that identity, and they go out and say, "We're going to do X, Y, and Z. Now you stop us doing from X, Y, and Z."
There's nothing sexy about either of these teams. They're going to hit you in the face, but the only sexy thing is that they're playing at Fort Field.
Yeah,
cool.
And
Portland won me over with the win against Frankenmuth. The way that they beat Frankenmuth, that was kind of like that was a moment for me.
And Marine City's another one of those proud programs that is going to come here and say, "Let's go." They ran for 5 touchdowns. Portland did in this one. They beat Marine City 35-14.
I think the most impressive was that they chewed time. They held the ball for literally 3/4 of the game. Jeez. Marine City just knew, and Marine City coaching staff was like, "We knew we were going to have limited possessions. That's why they started." Marine City also is a primarily rushing team that doesn't throw the ball a lot.
Yep.
Shortly after halftime, they're like, "Okay, well, we got to go for it because we're not going to get the ball back."
Yep.
And it was, not only Jacob Veal, their leading rusher. But it was a good story with Owen Gulliford, who came back, who had missed a large portion of the season. I believe it was 7 games after tearing a meniscus in his knee. And he's a fullback who's primarily blocking for Jacob Veal, who's the primary ball carrier for Portland. And the Portland coaching staff knew that everyone was going to expect him, since they've been working him back in from the knee injury, to just be a blocking back. So they thought, let's give him the ball a couple times to see what happens. 123 yards and a touchdown later, and he was just, and you could tell they were happy tears, but he was sobbing after the game, because early in the season when you have a knee injury like that, you think your high school career is over, and
now
if you're not playing in college, and now he's going to go play in Fort Field, and for him, it was just, you could tell that he was just there.
Well, again, those are rallying
Overjoyed.
cries. You know what I mean? And that's what sometimes gives you that little edge when you're playing an opponent, because you're thinking about him.
Yeah.
And, of course, he's, going to give it everything he's got, because he feels he's been given a second chance at life, say. So we've got Hudsonville Unity Christian, this team of destiny, and this team that just seems to find ways to win against a Portland team who is in their first final since winning it in 2012. So it's been several years. Who do we like?
I'm going to take Portland.
Portland.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Portland, although I to me, it's not an easy choice. The fact that Unity was able to take out Swan Valley,
absolutely.
I think that maybe that game might have been their state championship game.
Right.
Yeah.
Who do you think I'm picking?
I would go by myself. It's worked out very well for you, my friend.
Of course. I'm picking Unity Christian because it's been that kind of season. And, of course, everyone's going to pick against them in this one, too. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to go out and prove it. And like you said, it's not going to be a mystery. They know what they each have to do. They're going to go out there. And, again, it's going to come down to time of possession. And if Portland does that same thing, they'll win. Well, but it's possible that Unity will pull out some miracle.
Well, they've been an afterthought.
God will be on their
not just
side.
in their conference with the
but
they weren't even
they
weren't even the team that was getting talked up in their town because Hudsonville was in the rankings for a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they've gotten no publicity, and so if they
push
get
to the back,
they'll
talk about you when you're
in the conference and in the town and everything.
Now they're all singing UNITY.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, Queen Latifah,
and it's the 4:30 game, so Michigan and Ohio State's over, and we're all reveling in Michigan's victory, and so you can just sit back and watch a good game at 4:30. If you want to come before field, you can. It'll be on TV as well. D3, the nightcap that usually ends up being tape delayed.
The clash of superpowers.
But another juggernaut game. But we'll see how it ends up turning out.
You know what's funny? I went and I did a little research this week, and I went back and I read some of the write-ups about the first game, and it was so interesting to see.
The first game they played each other.
Yeah, but this year. And it was so interesting to hear everybody kind of suggest, well, what if that extra game?
Too bad
because
it won't happen.
at the time we didn't know, and so if you have a little extra time, go read some
Everyone
of the comments.
expected King to be in D2.
Yep. Here we are.
Yep. And
here we are.
did have a very good game.
Oh, that was
5 touchdowns
in that. I think it was a 24-21 loss or something like that. It was very close. The closest game Muskegon's played all year, so they're going to get King again.
So defending champion in 2 from 16, defending champion from 3 and 17.
Yes.
Facing off here in 18.
Is that great?
Yes.
Who's going to have the bragging rights for D3 this year?
And Muskegon took care of Zeeland East, although Zeeland East played fairly well. They lost 45-22, did Zeeland East. But Big Reds came in averaging 50 per game. So they kept them under that.
Sean coined this term, and I love it. It's like PlayStation numbers, P4 numbers. That's what you're getting when you're talking about Muskegon. It's
incredible.
It's like you're sitting on your couch with your console.
Yeah. Zeeland East was only giving up about 19 a game, so they doubled that output, and 27th straight win, 27th.
Haven't lost since Orchard Lake beat them on the last play of the state finals in 16.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Caden Prescorn to Kyron Cunningham.
Yep,
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was right after Khalil Pimpleton had run
scored,
one in on the other side. So, they drove the field and did it. And it was literally the last play of the game. Yep. And it was like a
10 seconds
25, 30-yard touchdown, too. I mean, it was. I don't remember it being
I think
right
they threw to get. I think it was 15 yards.
Okay, 15.
But they threw another big play to
get there, and then they had that. Yeah. So. Detroit Martin Luther King was able to beat DeWitt 34-21. This was a game that I thought DeWitt would win. You thought DeWitt would win. You guys went with King. DeWitt pulled within 6 early in the third quarter, and then King scored 14 unanswered to win. The Crusaders are 11-2 on the year, and they have losses to Cass Tech, an ugly loss, and then a good loss, if you want to call it, in Muskegon. In week 2. They're now playing for their third title in 4 seasons after winning Division II in 15 and 16, if you remember that, Mr. Burnstein. Yes. So King with a lot of swag, when it comes to state championship games as well. But here we go. And we've got Cam Martinez versus Daquan Finn.
Awesome.
Two Mr.
So you have 2 Mr. Football candidates going head-to-head. You got 2 superpowers going head-to-head. You got 2 great coaching staffs. Coach Fairfield over at Muskegon and the guys over at King. It's going to be exciting.
3 favorite stats from this game. First one is 22.6. That is Daquan Finn's average yard per carry. 22 yards per carry through regional finals. Yes.
Okay.
19 touchdowns. 19 touchdowns on 48 carries. Yeah, that's a little good.
But look at who they played week 4 through 8.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, I mean that's but yes, that's still he's fast.
Then the other one is 78, 77, 82, and 70. Those are the long carries for the top 4 rushers from Muskegon. They just you know, when you're running behind an offensive line like that,
so
you're
vital.
getting seams like
Absolutely.
that. That's why they've run for 5,000 yards on the season and outrushed their opponents by 3,000 yards.
And good opponents.
Absolutely.
The other,
not cupcakes.
No.
You know, granted, I'm sure there are a few. And, you know, I use that term very
What's your third number?
The third
Very
one is
loosely. There's no
15-25.
cupcakes.
Which is the combined weight of their 5 offensive linemen. They average 305, led by
There's more than my truck out in the parking lot.
Obviously led by Bradford on the right side
Yeah.
at 360, but that is a huge line. That's a college offensive line that they're running behind. And all credit to all of their playmakers that they have. That makes life easier for you when you've got a line like that.
You
Just
got a steel wall in front of you.
Yeah, and again, it goes without saying to the superlatives that we have thrown on Cam Martinez and what he's been able to do, breaking Ladarius Jefferson's record and taking control of this team from day one. A lot of pressure, obviously.
You're whether or not you were going to be able to make the move up from D8 because he was a D8 quarterback.
Exactly.
You were able to do the same thing you were doing at D8 up in the higher levels.
Yes.
Well, he said, "Believe me, I can do it, and I can do it with flash and dash, and I can get in the end zone quite a bit."
And again, when you watch his highlights too, it's granted the line opens the holes for him, but the way he can weave through. There's guys who have clean shots,
elusive,
clean, clear shots.
They work hand in hand.
And I mean, he gets
jitterbug, elusive.
Yeah, he makes a lot happen. While still a lot of guys
great field vision
would get him. Yes,
I have no reason to think that this game isn't going to be like the first one, honestly. And that's no disrespect to King.
Yeah.
I think maybe even more points than the first matchup, but would it surprise anybody if this was another 3-point game, 1-point game? You know, dare I say even an extra point being the difference in this game? It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah. Now, it would shock me just because I think Muskegon is...
That good?
Yeah. I really think they're that good.
I won't argue with you.
And they've lost so many times in Ford Field. I mean, you talk about dynasties with
Rice.
Clarkson. If Muskegon had won all those games against Brother Rice and against Orchard
the
Lakes,
amazing Jason Alessi with the kickoff return on the trick play,
we'd be talking about 8-9 titles right now, and so they want nothing more than to show what they did last year was no fluke and that they could do it without Ladarius, even though they have Cam, and they've got Cam for next year too.
I've got Muskegon.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about earlier in the season. Their motivation this year was being the first Muskegon team to go back-to-back.
Yeah. Yes.
One more game. That's all they got to do, and it's right there in front of them.
Yeah, and I think for King, you feel really good about yourself right now, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, beating DeWitt, what they've done since losing to Cass Tech in the
Coach
PSL
Spencer
championship
has got those guys refocused.
They eked by River Rouge, who again I think. For those who don't know, River Rouge was a good team.
They've been there, done that
too.
too.
Been here if they won that.
Yeah,
easy.
And they've been there, done that. I mean, there are a lot of guys, including their quarterback, that were a part of that team 2 years ago, and they had a bad taste in their mouth last year. That loss against De La Salle. So that's why I think this game is going to be pretty darn close. But I'm taking Muskegon.
It very well could be. And again, what they've done over the last 3 games, they have no problem scoring points anymore. So whatever they had to write, they righted, and so who we calling?
You said Muskegon.
He said
Muskegon.
I'm going to go to Muskegon. I'm going to go Muskegon. I'm going to pick the Big Red. They're just, it's a team full of Theraflu specials, just total sickness. These guys walk into a hospital and everyone's getting sick. They're going to the doctor's office. The doctor's supposed to be, making them well, but he's making the doctor sick. That's how, as a collective, this Muskegon team is just so dangerous, so lethal. And I think that Coach Spencer will game plan this well. I think Jaquan Finn and that offense will be able to keep pace with Muskegon, but at the end of the day, I just don't see them beating Muskegon. I think Muskegon pulls away in the last 5-10 minutes.
I think
Are you going to plant us?
No, I'm planting the flag with Muskegon. Yes, very much so. And I think what's going to happen, it's going to be like third quarter. We're going to get about mid-third quarter. Martinez is going to run like a 40-yard touchdown, and that's when the floodgates kind of open right there. And I see the final score somewhere around the 34-17.
I'm going to say 30. I'm going to say 30-20 Muskegon.
Okay, so that's the way I see it. But we'll see. The last game of the Ford Field high school playoffs often is the best game.
The grand finale is also quite grand.
If it is 21-20 and it's some amazing play at the end, I could see that too.
Yep.
I can't name how many times in the newspaper days I was waiting for the story from that last game. It was always, Country Day or Orchard Lake St. Mary's or somebody.
5 overtime against
just give me a story. I don't care what it is.
Right, and you're picking Muskegon.
Yes, I am.
Okay, before we close out here real quick, I do want to give a little props to the 8-player championships that took place last week. Morris and Pickford, 44-16. Morris won that. I have just grabbed some notes that Hunter Nowak was a kid who has arguably the most accomplished offensive star in Morris's history. He capped a 3-year varsity campaign, 39 times, 199 yards in the game, 3 touchdowns, threw for another score. And they, again, broke away to win first state title in this sport.
Congratulations.
Which is great for them. So they finished 13-0, and their defense obviously played amazing because the team coming in was averaging 54 a game that they beat.
Talking about their defense in 8-man being, kind of an anomaly just based on how stout it was.
Yeah, and we, it was Scott is the only one who took Pickford in that one. We all went with the other. So in D2, Rapid River beat Onekama 30-18. Scott, you and I both thought Onekama could pull one out. Rapid River instead won. And so I guess
I gotta sharpen my crystal ball when it comes to my D8 my 8-man prediction.
So 8-player football playoff started in 2011. Rapid River's been on the verge of winning every year. They had not done that. And again, these games are played at the Superior Dome. They went to the finals the first year, lost in 2012 in the semis, 13, lost in the title game to Peck. 4 seasons of early round playoff losses for them. But now they get their first championship, and they could hold it high, and it was
UP power.
Yes, exactly.
They're the only UP champs this year, aren't they?
Yep.
We always had the D8 teams.
We don't have Ishpeming in D7.
Crystal Falls, Forest Park.
Well, you talked about your crystal ball. Crystal balls don't react very well to cement, and that's where they play that championship game at the Superior Dome on the cement of the Superior Dome.
Yep, and
the turf.
The cement. Yes, turf.
They outgained Onekama 341 to 212 in total yardage. That's really the story there. And talk about time of possession, 33 and a half minutes they held on to the ball in that game. So that's why they were able to win. So that is that, and good on them. So what we have in store, ladies and gentlemen, is the state finals. So we've been talking about it all season. We're here. I think a lot of the teams we expected to be there are there. There are some teams that we certainly did not expect to be there that are there, and that's the way it should be each and every year. We will be. I know I'll be there. Most of Friday, all Saturday.
I'll be there all day, both.
You'll be there. You'll be there.
I'll be there
these
Friday,
guys
Saturday.
are on the 7th floor, so they'll be all the way at the top.
I'll be on the ground floor.
All right.
I'll be taking pictures.
Come in, good. See, our side like that. Scott's going to be in the press box, and he'll be.
It's just not Thanksgiving for me. Thanksgiving weekend without me being down at Ford Field.
Absolutely. So. We'll have a full state final show on Sunday. Again, the Final Fours for Mr. Football and Handball. You'll hear there. You might even hear something quick right after that, too. And we'll have our champions next week. We will have one more show. We'll talk about the state finals, and we'll kind of put a bow on 2018 and then get ready for the winter sports. Hockey podcast, the high school hockey report's already going. Hang time will be back. And so we'll have that going soon in December.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Everybody out there.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Lions. See if they can pull one out.
I'm sorry. I can't root for this team right now after the 3-6 start.
I know, but they beat Carolina. Regardless of how the
meaningless wins,
the planets aligned for them for it to happen.
The Lions are doing what they always do.
They're such a tease. They're such a tease.
I know.
Anyone that gives this team the benefit of the doubt is a sucker.
I know.
Sorry, I know. On a little
what a down way to end it, but it is what it is. This is
a team I've been obviously.
I know that is life in the state of Michigan.
I was going to make you crack about the network coveage, but Bernie took my soul from me.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. That's it.
Well, Sean's got to. He lives it. I mean,
so. We'll have all the highlights, everything on statechampsnetwork.com. Read these guys; they'll be writing it, and we will see you guys either at Ford Field or we'll talk next week for one more show. We out.